Positive disruption. What is it? Well, today, that's what we're going to talk about. Who do we have as our guest to actually express that and explain that and make us understand that? He is an awesome dude. He has been in the industry for 21 years, turning 22 this year. He is the CEO and founder of Oniracom, one of the coolest people I know. Few people I know directly, personally, from Santa Barbara. Coming in, Jacob Tell, what's up, man?
Tom, thank you so much for having me. I just want to clarify that I wish I was turning 22 years old. But sadly, it's my company that's turning 22 years old. But that's okay.
What's the secret to staying young looking?
Do not have children. That's the secret. That's it. Also, avoid alcohol as much as you can. I'm much more into the cannabis and psychedelics end of the spectrum than the alcohol. Seems to work really well with my mind, body, and spirit.
You mentioned cannabis. I do know that you guys, Oniracom, as a digital agency, a creative agency in general, you are more focused on the cannabis industry now. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely are a brand strategy and creative agency. We do a lot of creative services as well as build brands. The other part of that is we do it very data driven. So we create market research to allow us to make smarter and more profitable decisions when it comes to building the brand. But yeah, I mean, to your question about the journey, when we started, we were hyper focused on one industry. We were working in the music industry. We were very lucky to know a very small artist named Jack Johnson in 2001 when his first album was about to drop. And when it came out, we were the guys building his digital presence. Back in the day, it was Flash animation. It was discussion forums. Credit card processors took 90 days to set up. No one trusted swiping their credit cards online yet. We had no social networks. Friendster was just kind of happening, and maybe MySpace was about to bubble up. There was no tablets. There was no smartphones. There was barely Wi-Fi. I mean, we were running Ethernet cables across the room. We've really evolved along that, as have every way we communicate and interact with each other and with brands and with artists. First 10 years, because of that difficult, challenging landscape, was all about us being consultants and good consultants for artists, management, and record labels. We were coming in when something called MySpace came out, or something called Facebook was going from university only to being more public, or when this thing called Twitter came about, or this thing called YouTube came about. The labels didn't necessarily know how to leverage these platforms yet. They didn't necessarily know how their fan bases were going to use them or not use them, and what the best ways for an artist to engage their fan base was. So we were building a lot of customized digital marketing campaigns and web presences for artists that allowed them to go directly to their fans, cut out the middlemen, in some cases not even use record labels, and do data capture and sell bundled merchandise and tickets and VIP experiences. And digital music, eventually streaming, kind of changed the game quite a bit, which forced us to diversify as well. But we learned a ton. We had a blast for 10 years, hyper focusing on one industry. All of our inbound leads came from record labels. We didn't really have to work so hard to find clients. And then once you grow up and you start doing multiple industries and multiple verticals, you realize, oh wow, we actually have to market ourselves and put ourselves out there and do some outbound efforts. All that to say, back to cannabis, my long-winded answer for you is that, the cannabis industry really was kind of the music industry at that time. We were working in cannabis in a sense. Of course, we came out of the closet. Colorado legalized 2015. We were doing cannabis events here in Santa Barbara. In 2016, California legalized. So during those years, we really came out of the cannabis closet and positioned ourselves to be an agency that supported the cannabis industry properly.
That is awesome. And plus, I feel like it's a natural progression anyway. Like, I mean, it's like, there's a lot in between that kind of dovetails still, but they seem to be closely related. Question, right? Like 21 years, heavy into music, now heavy into cannabis, but in between all that, different industries. Because I know that positive disruption is one of the core values, one of the things that you guys espouse. Is that like a distillation of experiences over 21 years? or is that a foundational thing that you had since the very beginning?
Great question. So the answer is the former, not the latter. I mean, really what happened was we reflected back and we kind of went through our own rebrand and used our own brand strategy and brand identity process to what you say, eat your own dog food. We kind of went through our own brand process, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we needed to have tied everything together. So upon reflecting, we realized when we were in the music industry, it was going analog to digital. This was the first domino to fall amongst all the industries that went analog to digital. And everything became music streaming, and eventually bandwidth could handle video streaming. So we had the TV and the film industries and you name it, sports and comic books and newspaper publications, everything made that transition, but it started with music. That was a positive disruptive moment in that space. Cannabis becoming legal, positively disruptive, going from underground black market seen as having no medical value to now all of a sudden having all sorts of product categories in the cannabis industry that help on a whole range of a spectrum from recreational to medicinal uses. And very much similarly, when we look at the values that we hold as a company and as an organization and look at our DNA, we realize that we love using technology to disrupt the status quo. And we love when organizations will look at their supply chains and they can actually disrupt these things by doing what's right. Yes, for their bottom line, but also for people and planet. We call it a triple bottom line approach. That's positively disruptive as well. So when we tied all this together, we synthesized and found that common thread, which was that we truly do support and create cultures of positive disruption.
I feel that is amazing. And inadvertently, I made you explain what it was without asking you to explain it, which is really cool. To anybody watching right now, this is all really candid. I just got Jacob on Zoom. I'm like, we're going to do this thing. And he's like, oh, let me fix some things at the back. Last question. Is it a deal breaker for you if you're working with somebody and the disruption that they want cannot be done positively, or the triple P model? Is that like a filter for your partners, your moves, your strategy, etc.? Does it work that way? So anybody watching and would want to know more on how to work with you guys, they know what kind of process to expect maybe in terms of positive disruption and the triple P model?
That's a great question too. Absolutely. In the beginning of our business development relationships or in a sales process, we'll try to suss it out and see, are these people, is this organization open and willing to do things differently, to come in and challenge some of their team or some of their partnerships or some of their infrastructure workflow to do things in a different way. The model for this, by the way, the reason it's so ingrained in our DNA is because of our work with Jack Johnson over all these decades. Jack, in the music industry, created what was called an eco writer or a green writer. A writer is something that an artist will tell the promoter, the promoter will tell the booking agent will tell the venue, hey, these guys need their green M&Ms separated out and backstage, right? Or whatever it is that they need when they show up, their writer needs to be adhered to for them to feel like they've been taken care of. They decided, we're going to make an eco-green writer. We're going to say that we need biodiesel refill stations within a certain radius of the venue. We're going to say that we don't want to use single-use plastic. We want to make sure that we have water refill stations set up around the venue. We want to make sure that we're using organic food. And they've got dozens of items in this writer. And what did that do? It positively disrupted the music industry, because not only in that one instance of, hey, venue, if you're not going to do this stuff, I'm going to go down the street and play the competitive venue. What the venues actually found is once they made these changes, they weren't that difficult after all. They were lasting. These things have country, and now in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, South America, and Japan, Jack has played, where they've permanently adopted many of these recommendations from his green writer. Now, obviously, Jack has leverage, and he used that leverage to do this, but that's exactly what brands and organizations need to do. Is find their leverage points and flex them so that they can make the world a better place, one action at a time. We personally love organizations and brands that are willing and open to working this way, looking at their supply chains. I'll say to them like, oh, you're manufacturing that product? Do you know where it's sourced? Do you know what kind of fabrics those are? Is that organic cotton? Well, why not? We need to switch. Let's actually look at this. So we're all about it.
Wow. I believe it's not just Jack Johnson who can do these things. I believe that anyone and everyone can have have an impact on people, planet, and profits, etc. But I really, really love the fact that you guys make that part of your ethos, or like a pillar of, like the Oniracom way, is so to speak. So because we do things with you, I do feel like we're also contributing to that. This show is contributing to that, and whoever's watching this or ends up watching this would also be contributing to that. In any action or decision, I think there is an impact. So I appreciate you. I absolutely honor and thank you for taking the time out and sharing, all these things about positive disruption, Triple P model, how you filter, who you work with, and what you do. Thank you, Jacob.
Tom, thank you. And for anyone watching out there, I'll just leave you with this, which is don't take things for granted. Don't just say because it's been the status quo, we're going to continue to do that. This is your opportunity to really make positive, lasting change. We're all here together. Nobody has everything figured out. We can all make a difference. So lead by example.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. Thanks, everybody. See you on the next show.